1 year ago, Port-au-Prince, Haiti was reeling from a massive and deadly earthquake. In an instant, hundreds of thousands of lives were lost and more than 1 million people lost everything. Well, the world responded with promises of millions of dollars in aid, but sadly in 12 months, not a lot has changed. So we're back to check and see how the recovery effort is going and to see how local people are helping in that effort. This is Haiti 1 year later. On the anniversary of the earthquake, the haunting sounds of the chaos and panic the day it struck are being replayed on local radio. The fear in the voices and screams is chilling. Bouncing around in the backseat of a pickup truck, looking out the window at what Port-au-Prince looks like now, it's eerie to start thinking about what it must have been like in those moments and minutes following the Earth's violent shake. But on January 12, 2011, Haiti's resilience, hope, and spirit is on display. That morning, thousands of people are heading in one direction, towards the ruined Port-au-Prince Cathedral. Around 100 people died in the cathedral during the quake, and it's still covered with rubble. But in a country with an overwhelming majority of Catholics, their faith and spirit is what helps them cope. And outside the country's main cathedral, there is a wide range of emotion and reflection on display. At the foot of the crucifix is a crowd made up of mostly women. They wave their arms, sing quietly, or shout questions. They wonder why they were saved and why this had to happen. The pain and sadness is clear. More than 5,000 people have come out on a hot and humid day to be part of one of the country's biggest memorial services. They sit wherever they can. Many are on the piles of rubble still sitting in front of the cathedral. Getting around is tough as there are so many people and not a lot of room. A lot of reporters are at the ceremony too, and all of us are trying to get the best images to best explain what it's like here on this day. While no one here needs a reminder of what happened 1 year ago, the state of the cathedral, a building which would be off limits and condemned in North America and will have to be torn down and rebuilt, shows the devastating power of the quake. As senior members of the church arrive in their crisp white robes, the sound of people singing a somber hymn rises into the air. They snake through the crowd towards the main tent where the Mass is centered. One by one, beneath the tent, the priests, bishops, and cardinals lead the crowd in prayers and songs. They all thank God for the people spared. Now, while people turned out in huge numbers for this morning's ceremony to mark the anniversary, the fact is they don't have a PA system loud enough for anybody to really hear the actual Mass itself. The only time the crowd here can really hear something is when the choir is singing. So for the most part, beyond the tents, the people here are thinking and praying on their own, in some cases, unique ways. This woman lay stretched out on the ground for several minutes, the whole time clutching a rosary in her hands. And while it's clear almost everyone here is a believer, there is an uneasy sense among some Haitians that faith is slipping.
To tell you the truth, most people with not religion after the earthquake, everybody start changing.
Yeah? Is that sad?
Yeah, that's sad. Because they think God is doing I told everybody the reason I think this happened to Haiti because too many bad stuff happened and God's teaching them a lesson.
But people are giving, digging deep into their pockets to contribute what they can at the Mass. Collecting taxes in Haiti hasn't been easy in the last year. This is what the country's tax administration building looked like 1 year ago. Like so many other places, the quake leveled the building, killing 25 people. Now that all of the rubble has been cleared from the site, a memorial garden will be built in its place. At the dedication ceremony for January 12th, 2010 place, people still gasped as they looked at the enlarged still pictures of the building's collapse. This woman sitting down lost her father that day and was too emotional to talk to me about it, but the man in charge of tax administration in Haiti remembers the chaos as his office suddenly started shaking.
I was here in the building in the third floor, and I spent Tuesday and Wednesday. I leave Wednesday in the afternoon.
He knows how lucky he is to have made it out alive, otherwise he would have been one of the people being remembered today.
We remember all our companions we lost during this earthquake, and particularly our 6 technical directors and 19 agents. We think about the families and their friends and their relatives during today, because today is very sad.
Today's also a day Haitians are trying to turn a page on the past. Many people now feel like they've been in mourning for a year, and now they want to look to the future. They want to look to the rebuilding of Haiti, but they know they've got a lot of work ahead of them. So instead of grieving on the anniversary, some people took to the streets and celebrated. This crowd of thousands danced, sang, and chanted beside a van with a charismatic preacher on the roof, leading them in song and prayer. But the overwhelming mood among these people was one of happiness. On a day declared a national day of mourning, these people are thankful they're still alive. So in front of the still crumbled presidential palace, they showed the world and the rest of their country that there is reason to be happy in Haiti. Being caught in that crowd and experiencing that moment is something I'll never forget. Climbing on top of the bus and looking down at the mass of people on a day when I expected more sadness than joy was incredible. And it showed me how hard it is to break the spirit of Haitian people. And on a day when the fate and future of Haiti was on the minds of everyone, and as the preacher and his crowd moved along, we bumped into a group of international missionaries all thinking about what today means. What do you think about Haiti's future?
Well, I'm hoping it's great. I want it to be great, you know, and that's all I can really hope for it to be a better Haiti. I love Haiti.
I think Haiti has a future, but I think for the future to be successful, people have to come together and work together. People cannot do separate things. They have to come together and they have to have one agenda, and that agenda is to make the country great.
Hunter Pickett of Bob Cajun has been back and forth to Haiti frequently since his mother moved there in 2005. He talked to me about the difficulty of explaining to people back home just what kind of challenges the people here are facing.
You have to come. I try to take pictures. Today I'm trying to take pictures to show what it's about. I take pictures every day and send them, you know, Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook. And it's really hard to explain by that. My friends are planning to come to Haiti to see it firsthand, and that's the best way to do it.
He's right. Pictures and stories from Haiti can convey a lot, but being here, not being able to turn away from the awful conditions so many are living in, and seeing the people all day, it gives you a much better sense of what it's actually like, and just how difficult life is for so many people who seem to just exist rather than live. And being there and having experienced so much on the day of the anniversary, I had a feeling the moment of silence marking the exact minute when the quake struck would have been another powerful memory. Instead, it seemed to come and go as an afterthought for the people still on the streets near the palace at exactly 4:53 p.m.
Un 4 minutes de silence, s'il vous plaît.
Hands over their hearts, some closed their eyes and bowed their heads, others stared straight ahead. But unlike earlier in the day, there was no obvious display of strong emotion. In front of the presidential palace, a trumpet played a mournful song as the Haitian flag was taken down. The only time we saw anyone getting emotional was during a street performance from a group of young people. And then, among the chanting and shouting, a calm, almost serene anthem continued. When Haiti 1 year later continues, there's been a lot of criticism of the cleanup and rebuilding effort, so we'll compare the state of Haiti from 1 year to the next and tell you how Canada is trying to make it better.